All right, appreciate you being here. Again, coming again, we didn't really get together after the last game, so coming off the last week here, again, 2-2 after the Missouri game. Defense player game, we gave it to Greg Heben. A couple picks, but pretty solid, a lot of other areas. Cody Latimer backed it up with another solid performance as the offensive player of the game. Played well. Of course, he played well in the first couple of weeks, didn't get touches, but was playing well just without the ball and on special teams. He's had a good year so far for sure, but had another solid game for us. Mitch Ewald at kicker. I think it's the third time Mitch has done it. It's kind of been perfect. His kicks, placements on kickoffs have been nice for us as well. Our scout players of the week, Billy Ivan, third time for Billy as a fourth-year guy, working hard for us behind the scenes. Isaac Griffith, young freshman, is doing well for us, being redshirted. Chris Smith, defensively, young freshman redshirting, and Simeon Ikadabu, one of our walk-ons that was with us last year, back with us. So, yeah, coming off that deal, you know, we saw that game. You guys know that one. We had open date. We'll talk about that. Thought we had a good week of work. I say that from an attitude standpoint. We kind of looked at it Sunday, put it behind us. Point in time, I think our team has worked very, very hard. There's a point of maybe overworking, over-grinding, over-prepping you can do. Did put a lot of time on us as much as anything. We did look at opponents, and we looked at a lot of young guys, but we did want to talk fundamentals and looking at things that we like that we're doing, things we don't like, and self-study and self-eval of our strengths and weaknesses, what to work on. Had a lot of young guy work, so each day 10, 15, 20 minutes of, hey, you scout guys instead of running their plays, run some of our stuff, and that's always good for the young guys. A little bit of future work. You know, we got a 3-game run here with this open date deal. We had 4 open date, now a 3-game run. So if we did concentrate a little bit on some of our opponents, offense, defense, but it wasn't about just game planning. A lot was really about us, young guy development. We were able to take, I think, a little bit of a break physically with the guys, some time, you know, kind of that midpoint of academics, so to give them a chance to get away through the weekend a little bit on Friday and Saturday. We had to be in class on Friday, but we didn't have workouts or structured practice, whatnot. Same deal on Monday. We didn't practice last Sunday, Monday. We had to work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not to overdo it, not to underdo it. But I do think from a mental side, academic side, that time of year, that open date did come at a nice point. And I think from a recruiting standpoint, we had chances, coaches, to get out. Coaches were all out Thursday and Friday. We had everyone out. We're limited on how we can do our recruiting, and during 1 week, we can have our whole staff of 10 out for as many days as we wanted. We took advantage of that to have a lot of guys out. We've done a lot of local work, which we were able to, from there, fringe into some surrounding states and even hit some of our travel states. So I thought that went well. Last night with the open day, we got some health deals, so it gives a chance to get some guys cleaned up. I'll hit real quick on that. Peyton Eckert is still, to me, out. He's been gimpy with this back deal. He still has practiced some. I don't anticipate him going yet. And again, we'll see how it goes. We will get to a point, can be redshirt if he needs to be, doesn't have to be. Just because you're redshirt doesn't even mean you get a 5th year. You have the option. We'll play that one, but I think right now, again, he keeps being iffy, keeps trying to go, but he's got basically just a low back deal that he got in a non-contact deal. It's just kind of gimped on him. Other than that, Feeney and Hubler, that's been out all year. Everyone else I would anticipate as being probable or playing. So we had guys practicing. Do they practice enough to play? Do they practice well enough to play? The rest of our core right now I think is good to go. So I thought the open date was good. And then with that, we'll flip to Penn State. Noon kick coming in at 3-1. Their lone loss, Central Florida. I don't know if you had a chance to watch Central Florida play South Carolina. It's a good football team. Matter of fact, I saw during their game, they were one of 8 teams this year to not be behind until I think in the 3rd quarter when they were up 10-0 on South Carolina. They came back. So Central Florida is their loss. They lost that game 34-31. That's a quality opponent that played very, very well against those guys. Offensively, 2 years Coach O'Brien's been there. That's his pedigree, his upbringing. Very strong coach, very knowledgeable coach. Puts his guys in good positions. So you look at the personnel. Their freshman quarterback is really solid, playing in a scheme where they understand how to take advantage of his strengths and not stress him out as a freshman with protections and run game balance and screen and in their play calls and whatnot. But the Hackenberg kid is a very talented young player, playing in a great scheme, well coached. Nice running backs, a big back, 240-pounder, and get behind his back, and then behind his pads, then 2 change-up backs they bring in that are averaging 7.5, 8 yards. A nice running game, about 195, 197 yards a game rushing. Really good receivers with Robinson, maybe the best in our league. Leads the league this year, did last year in receptions. He's a very dynamic player. Got a young freshman that they like, Lewis, number 7 as well, that they're bringing on. So they got some skill outside. 2 really nice tight ends in 18 and 87 that do a nice job for him in a solid line. So they piece it together, and they got a bunch of nice pieces. They got a young freshman quarterback. It's very, very talented, but with a big back in the running game, nice perimeter players, nice tight ends, solid line, pretty good package offensively, doing really, really well. Defensively, as always, are stout up front, typical Penn State. Solid, strong at backer, really good up front, big D tackle, couple active ends. Got some new guys in the back end, but you don't really notice it. You wouldn't know they're new if you're watching tape. They've been solid, well coached. New coordinator this year, but he was there a year ago. You got Coach Vanderlyn and Coach Johnson have been there 10, 12, 15, 20 years. So a lot of continuity on defense. They didn't play by their standards like they wanted to against Central Florida. You can tell they come back and shut out Kent State, playing Penn State defense 34-0. So a good defense will be a strong test for us, and we're looking forward to Saturday. Questions?
You said that you went back and you looked at what you liked and didn't like over the first 4 games. What were the things that you liked and didn't like?
Well, again, so for example, we got to keep working on our third downs. We're doing okay, but conversions, where we're stopping drives, getting off the field, continuing drives on offense, we're about 50% there. We got to be a little bit better than that. That's a decent number. The games that we've shown that we've had run game and balance, same thing defensively. The games where we've played a little bit better run defense, we've had made the team a little bit more one-dimensional. The games we've struggled, it's been our inability to run and stop the run. And then with that, our opponents have been able to have kind of their way with us. We talked a lot. We played 4 games, and we've spotted a touchdown each game that's a non-defensive touchdown. So we're basically starting the game down 7 points the way we're playing. So we talked a lot, worked a lot on not just ball security, because there haven't been fumbles. We had 1 on a kickoff, and we had a punt block, but just taking care of the ball, send a quarterback exchange, short yardage. You saw that last night if you saw the Patriots and the Falcons game. Best players in the world, games on the line, those short yardage plays. We have a couple center quarterback exchanges. You kind of keep working on those things. So what I think we've gotten consistently is that our kids have given us great effort. I think we have great attitude with our guys, and we're looking to make sure we put our young guys defensively in places where they know what to do and they can attack. Offensively, we keep finding a way to have some balance and take care of the ball.
You mentioned Eckert. What did he do basically in the first place, and what is the?
He just hurt his back, and it was a running thing where he just took off running to the left and just glitched his guy. He's got a low back, and so it's a deal that we've tried to settle down, but just with the inflammation, and I believe it's called L5S, one sciatic nerve, if you want to get a doctor, which is not me, but he's got a bad back, and we've tried to quieten it down. We've done some things what they do with the epidurals to try to help it, but he's not been able to come back and practice at a strength level that he can do it. If he does too much work, then he really can't go the next day. So it's just getting that thing back. It's getting that thing quieted down and strong. It's not doesn't appear to be a major deal, but it has not quieted down where he's able to practice like he needs to. And he's in a position where he's playing where there's a lot of strain in that area, because you're playing in a bent knee leverage position where there's a lot of strain in your low back. It's kind of a tough deal for him.
Does it remind you of anyone you played this year?
Again, they'll be, Missouri was talented. They'll be as talented. It's a young quarterback versus a veteran. Maybe not as much running quarterback as they did, but different scheme where they're going to throw it to some nice players in space and they complement with the running game. So maybe a different style running attack, but they have similar and balance on offense. And again, they're very stout and strong defensively. So a little different than Missouri exactly, but talented like that, guys. And it's, again, to me, it looks like it's year 2, so you can't say it's typical of Coach O'Brien team because you've only seen a year and 3 games of that or 4 games of that. But his teams, his background has always been to play solid on offense, and Penn State's always been salty and strong on D. So, they're a complete team. We'll need to have, again, a very solid performance. If we're one-dimensional, we will struggle. If we turn the ball over -3, we're going to struggle. If we don't have the kick play. So, again, they're going to stress us to play a complete game, but that's the nature of Big Ten. And it'll be backed up the following week and the weeks to come. Every team's got different strength levels of O and D and skill guys and maturity, but we're getting into Big Ten play, so it's going to be a good team and a good challenge for us.
Stevens, I guess Robinson's sort of build and frame, just those big, tall guys have been a problem for your defense the last couple of years. Is that maybe where that position is just going now? It feels like the value placed on a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver with those kinds of physical tools maybe is more than it was 5-10 years ago.
Well, and again, I haven't necessarily stood beside him. I don't know if I would call him a big guy, and not that he's small. I think he's a solid size guy. I wouldn't consider him a 6'4", big guy. He's got great leaps and great speed and very dynamic. His ability to adjust on the ball and make plays in space and all that deal, Zach. But I think the thing you're saying, I think there's different types of players, and for example, they've got a nice balance at running back where they got a big back. It's 240 pounds that gets behind his pads. The next two guys come in and play physical, but it's a nice change of speed and small guys. So I think you've got that at receiver. I know in our recruiting efforts, we don't want everyone to be big. We don't want everyone to be small. You want, there's a little diversity that you're looking for. Really their two tight ends are actually their big receivers. Jesse James, 17 and 87. Their other time, maybe it's their best catch receiver, are almost like the big Ted Bolzer, who's almost like a big receiver per se, playing tight end. So that's where the real hype that you're talking about is like. And I think with Lewis, number 7, and Robinson, 8, they got some nice size, but they got some good speed outside, which is what you like. You be careful you don't get too many big guys because you lose a little quickness. There's a balance I think that everyone's looking for in their receiving core, and I think they've got it. So I think they're reasonably dynamic across the board. I think they've got a nice little collage of what they put out there. I think we have the same kind of thing that we put out there for our guys. They're all kind of unique and a little different in the matchups.
You talk about just trying to be consistent in run defense. Is there a trend to when you guys are struggling versus the run? Is there a common theme for why you struggle?
Well, in my opinion, we've looked very hard just conceptually to make sure that what we're doing, our kids understand our calls, our alignments, and where to go, and how to play the structure of the defense right. I don't think we've played structurally sound and as clean as we need to. And I think, again, you go through, and if you got some young guys and you want to do some things to quote, take advantage or sometimes maybe even disguise what you can't do, if you're not careful, you over-scheme. And so to me, we've had significant amount of miscommunication, misalignment, and we're not as sound as we need to be versus we're getting totally blocked all the time. We got guys not hitting right gaps and guys trying to make plays. Hey, I want to make this tackle and I peek inside and I get hooked. Or same time, I'm supposed to go outside and keep the run turned in. I'm peeking inside trying to make the play. So our thing defensively, and we've put a fair amount of time and some energy into it this week, is to make sure that we're getting lined up a lot cleaner and giving our guys a chance to know what they're doing and being a little bit more aggressive in what we're doing.
A little bit earlier, after coaching Trey and Nate, if they were freshman quarterbacks playing quite a bit, where does Hackenberg kind of compare to Nate last year to Trey 2 years ago, a freshman playing quite a bit of coach?
Well, it's hard to answer truly because I just watched their tape, but he is very talented, 1, he's very well coached, 2, and then he's playing in a package where they're going to play the game in their rhythm to get him in rhythm. So whether it be what they're doing to temper your rush, run the football, have the balance, take the shots they need to, throw the high percentage plays, it's a part of him being very, very good, very well coached, but putting all the pieces together. And in their package and with the players they do it with, they're a very well-rounded, very solid offensive football team. They're very good. And he does a nice job managing all that as a young man. Young players force it, and I think they've taught him how to manage and take what's there. And he's not been very greedy or unsure with the ball. He's been pretty smart with what he's done. They do a good. That's a little bit of Coach Bryant. As an offensive coach, you watch teams all the time, and you watch defenses getting ready. Well, you like to watch certain offenses, and we visited those guys when he and Josh McDaniel were up at the Patriots. Just to you want to watch Tom Brady, and you always watch those guys. So you always watch good offenses, and he's always been a part of good offenses. I remember, I want to say Coach was at Duke years ago, and I went back home and went by Duke and NC State, and he was over there at the time. So again, always respected Bill, and again, a lot of it's just a part of. He's really good within a very good package, and he's well coached.
It feels like, I guess, they haven't asked him, and maybe this is a cliche question, but they haven't asked him to do too much this year at that quarterback position? I mean, is it something where maybe, can you get him into maybe spots where you can challenge him to have to make a deep throw or have to make a really critical decision like that? It feels like they've been good in their wins, especially at maybe keeping those more tense situations off his plate, Hackenberg.
And that's a product of how they've played as a team. You know, their defense has done well, and they've kept the other team off the scoreboard, so they've played the games in their terms. Can we do that? That's always a challenge of any week, getting someone where you're making guys, make stressful plays, and you want to stress out a quarterback and an offensive line. You don't want to stress yours out. There's certain positions you want to attack, and it's your ability as a coach, and that's a part of their package. They do a good job of getting themselves in rhythm and playing on their terms, and that's why they're very, very successful. And then they throw it to some quality players. Now, I'm not sitting there, but to sit here and say he's not doing a lot, I don't know is fair. If you sit there and look, I think there's a fair amount where he's getting them in the right place, or here comes a pressure and you see him making the proper hot throws. So, hey, I've got something working here. Here comes a problem. Here's my answer over here, and you see him doing that. So, again, he's a very mature, from afar, when I watch, you just look at body language. He's a very mature kid that doesn't appear to get rattled. And I think there'll be more and more on him as he comes, but I think as a young, he's not sitting there, reading at the third grade level of quarterback play. He's at a very high level for a young guy, and I think with open day week, they'll probably advance and even put more on his plate. But it looks like he adjusts plays, he adjusts protections, he knows hots in a good way, and again, he's a quality, good young player, very good.
Talk about guys peeking into the backfield or taking a look somewhere where they should. How much of that is because they're not quite sure if the guy next to them is going to be making the plays, or trying to overcompensate?
A great point, and not always right, but is right a lot. And so, the word's called eye discipline. You put your eyes where they're supposed to, and they're going to, you need to be in your gap. You need your eyes where you're supposed to, and there's things guys are doing that say, hey, it's a run. Where's my run fit? It's a pass. Am I relating to number 1, 2, 3? Am I a hook curl player? Am I a flat player? Am I a deep player? Am I a run fit player? And again, that's what, to me, we have tried to this week correct. Not mistakes we've made, but just make corrections on where we're supposed to be, playing your gap, playing the structure, and your eyes are a part of the structure because your eyes tell you the run or pass fits in the back 7 that you're supposed to do.
Talk about their balance at running back. How much does that add up to them? Obviously, I think Zwinak was kind of the guy last year. I think Belton was hurt. What's it mean to them to have a group of tailbacks healthy?
Yeah, and their third back Lynch is, about the same as Belton guys. So, to me, I don't care who you're playing or what you're trying to do offensively. If you can get your run game going, to quote, have balance, to me, it's not the 50-50 deal or the yards per carry or equal calls. You're productive in the run game, and then you can protect and you're productive in the pass game. And every offense, you saw an offense a week ago with a little bit more of a quarterback run threat and spread, but it was predicated on trying to have balance. They're very much the same kind of team, and it'll be we will need to. You got to take care of Hackenberg. You've got maybe the premier receiver in the league, a couple quality tight ends, a young kid at receiver they like, but you've got to do everything you can to play a much better run defense to give us a chance this week, and we've got to find a way to run the ball, and those are going to be challenges. That's why we worked all spring preseason to evolve there. We're still evolving there, and it'll be a challenge against their front to run the ball. It'll be a challenge to stop their run, but we're going to have to have the success. And we've not only talked about it, we've worked at it, we've identified how we want to approach it, and we'll see what strides we've made here in 14 days from last outing to this one.
How much, maybe it's kind of half answered already, but just how much of it, maybe that running game just needs to be persistence and being willing to just run it, take 3 yards, run it again, take 3 yards, that sort of thing. I mean, just in terms of maybe going more to the run game just as a force of habit in a way.
Again, it's what you want. And again, you got to stay, but again, sometimes when we're doing those run games, maybe those little play actions are off of it, and those high percentage throws, and sometimes those can become a little bit of our run game, and those need to be pretty consistent. So if we're spitting the ball outside because it's a loaded box or a run pass combo, you got to execute the pass part of that to keep the run game going. Because if you don't occupy the perimeter part of that run game with the way we complement with passing, they can continue to load the box and just put numbers on you. And then if that's the case, then you start dropping back, and that's what happened last week. Then all of a sudden they start teeing off on your front, and your quarterback's not throwing in rhythm because the protection's breaking down, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's a little bit of persistence, Zach, but it's also execution and you know, getting this line to continue to grow a little bit, and we got to get a lot better there. Thanks. You know, he's again, you'd like to, from afar, it looks like he's a tremendous competitor. He likes to play and wants the ball. Don't know that unless you got him every day looking, but from afar, when you look at, that's the opinion you get. His skill set is very, very good. A basketball guy that I think understands space. I think he was a very talented basketball player in high school, so I think his feel of space and leverage and how to work and how to make some acrobatic plays, even though I don't think he's maybe the biggest receiver, Zach would tell you, he does have some substance, so he can make competitive plays. I mean, he's a quality, complete football player receiver. There might be faster guys, there might be bigger guys, but when he puts it all together, he's one of the better receivers in the country. Good?
Real quick, going back on injuries, you said everybody else's problem. Does that mean Bernard's good to go?
He's practiced, and again, same time, I think Jake Reed's played pretty good too, so it's a little bit of a competition deal there, you know, and you know, you got Alex Todd back in there playing last game, and all those guys kind of came out okay, but we're going to keep bringing, you know, some of those young D-lines, so it's a little bit of, you know, some of the guys that came in and played well. So right now, I don't think Jake Reed's played poorly. He's a very young, talented guy. I thought coming out 2-a-days, he was as good as Bernard, and so it'll kind of just be based on Bernard's practice play. Again, we'll need a good week of practice, guys. Very good challenge, good team, but looking forward to a great opportunity against a good opponent this week.
You talked about in order to have confidence, you have to win. You have to win or gain confidence. Going to a game like this, Indiana has never beaten Penn State. Does that feel like that is something that the team just has to overcome?
Well, we talk.
For the breakthrough, you're going to have to win a game like
Yeah, and we talk about, because we know that point was going to be made. To me, whether you've won in the past or won in the future, this team has never beaten this team, and it's this team. And so we talk about this team. The dynamics are different every year. You know, we're not bringing all the teams back and playing one in a row and all that deal. It's, you know, this is the only time this team will have a chance to play this game. And so we talk a lot more about, again, where we were at 2-2, what we needed to concentrate on. I believe our young men have given us, I think, my deal is I look at some seniors that I got a lot of respect for, that as coaching, as young players, we need those guys to lead us, but then we need to go out and play at a pretty high level for those guys, because their sense of urgency is great. This is our one time to play this game. This is our one chance for Penn State. Then it'll be the next game, our one chance. And just because you've done the past good or bad doesn't ensure it, doesn't guarantee it. Our team is better. We do need to, though, we're getting ready to play different, but similar to the game we just played. When you're playing in this league, you're going to play good teams. And your talent level is where it is, and you've worked it to that point. You have developed it through the offseason to this point. We went out this past week coming off a loss and did not really kill our guys. We coached our guys like a winning team, and the things we think they needed to do to improve, to win, because I think our guys have the attitude that we want, they're working like we want, and now we as coaches got to put them in good position. And that's how we approach this week, and that's how we're approaching this game. It's not about something we've never done. It's taking advantage of these days to go out at 12 o'clock and go 60 minutes against a good team and do our best and see what it does. And that's how we approach it. All right, guys, appreciate you being here.